When you start changing your mind and thinking about, okay, these terrible things happened to me, but I did receive some gifts out of that. And you start to learn how to focus on the things that you got from that instead of the things that you had experienced that brought so much pain.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome, friend, to this show. I am so excited to have Shirley, my new best friend, here with us today. We're going to talk about mindset. And you go, oh, like, this is just another buzzword. It's like, but if you really dive into it and you really start looking at how we think about things, how we look at things, it starts to really change the way we perceive life in general. And so Shirley, as an expert, is going to help us look at our mindset and decide, do we need to transform it so that we can transform our life? So the information about Shirley's in the show notes. Shirley, help me and my friend be better at our mindset process.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Yeah, like you said, you brought up a good point. Like, it's another buzzword. Like, it's cliche, change your mind, change your life. But there's so much reality to that. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of buzzwords and a lot of cliches built around it. But there's also been a lot of scientific proof and a lot of people who have learned how to think, because we are in a society that conditions us since we are children. What looks pretty, what to say, who's accepted, who's not. And now we have even more of that with social media. And I feel like we really have to learn how to think because we're so conditioned by everything. You know, the person that goes to work and comes home and grabs dinner and then sits down and watches the news gets a whole lot of bad news given to them, shoved to them, and then they go to sleep and they wake up the next morning and they're in that routine of just getting this bad news, bad news. Pretty soon you start to be depressed. You start to look at the world as a negative place to be. And there's so much beauty and joy in the world. And it's up to us to go ahead and find that and start focusing on those things.
You know, you talk about that pretty, and mine's this, who made the definition of pretty? You know, our media does. We all have our own definition. Yeah, our houses are different. Our cars are different. The way we dress are different. It's whose measuring stick are you going by?
Right.
And if I set the mindset that I am pretty, if that's important to you, I'm pretty to the people that I need to be pretty to, and nobody else matters.
Right.
Because we all have such different opinions. And I'm really into who made that rule anyway.
I know. I don't know if you've ever watched The Twilight Zone, but there is an episode where what society would define as ugly are this whole race of people, you know. And one of the people who were on their planet had to have a surgery because they had gone through an accident. And when they unveiled her, it was a beautiful, what we would define as beautiful. And the rest of the people were like, oh no, she looks terrible.
You ruined her face.
Yes. So, it's such a wonderful episode because it really is very deep, and it teaches you like perception again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about perception.
Yeah, find the people who like you the way you are, and you're good. The other
Absolutely.
movie that has that in it is, oh God, now just Shrek. And
Yeah.
you know how he has his girlfriend, and she's really a princess and does these things, and she will be her most beautiful self. And they're wondering, are they going to get along afterwards? And then
Right.
it happens, and she's still an ogre, and she is the most beautiful ever. And it's like, I loved that part, for a kid's movie to tell people
Right.
it's your perception of beauty that counts. How to help us change our mindset so that we look at things that are going to be helpful to us.
It's a simple process, but it's not easy because it does take work. So I give a quick example of me driving to work after the pandemic had happened. And I live in the Chicagoland area, and I was driving in Chicago on the expressway, which I've always taken pride in Chicago being this clean city because it's so giant. And how do we keep this city clean? But we do. You know,
Hmm.
and I travel a lot, so I'm always like, wow, Chicago does a really great job. Well, every day when I was driving, the highways were just lined with garbage, just tons of garbage. So I would be driving and I'd be frustrated and I'd be like, "Oh, man, who do I call? This is terrible," you know? And here we go. Like I teach to be aware of your emotional scale. So my emotions driving into work every day was frustration, anger, disappointment, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, wait a minute. If I'm paying attention to my emotional scale, I'm not feeling good. That means I'm not thinking good." Now I keep looking at this garbage on the side of the road. Why? When I can look up and see the beautiful skyline and see the clouds and see the other cars that are nice cars. Like it's just a way of learning how to perceive, learning how to be in touch with your emotions, be aware of your thoughts, and being able to reel it in and think better thoughts. So it does take practice and it does take work, but it is absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. And it goes through the same with like trauma and abuse and things. And that's where I started studying mindset, is because my childhood was filled with very severe abuse and trauma. And I had a breakdown when I was like 23 years old. And it was literally sink or swim. I did not want to be here anymore. I was just done. I was terrified and I didn't want to go to a traditional therapist. I started learning how to think and learning about mindset. So when you learn simple, I say simple, simple things like, okay, the past really doesn't exist. It only exists if you give it thought. Okay. So that to me was very powerful because I'm like, okay, I'm not in that abuse anymore, but I keep giving it thought. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to go to traditional therapy. Not that it's wrong for everybody, but a lot of times they focus on the problem and they talk about the whys and you keep talking about the problem and your mind stays in there and your emotions staying in there. Then you're getting all upset and depressed, and then they give you this pill. Here, take this antidepressant pill. For me, I didn't want to get in that cycle. I wanted to learn how to think. So little things like that would make me really like, okay, that makes sense. The past only exists if you give it thought. Now, good things have happened. So a lot of times you want to go back and remember all the wonderful things, but you don't have to dwell on the bad things. And again, it's perception. When you start changing your mind and thinking about, okay, these terrible things happened to me, but I did receive some gifts out of that, like who I became and my strength and my independence. And you start to learn how to focus on the things that you got from that instead of the things that you had experienced that brought so much pain. And you just start to kind of perceive things differently. And when you do, there's kind of like a miracle or a little bit of magic happens. You start to feel better. And when you start to think better, you're creating a world that you appreciate, that you're grateful for. You're starting to look for things that, oh wow, I love, playing with my grandkids. I love to see them smile. That brings so much joy to me. Any little thing, you start to be more grateful than you are sad. And it's not to say that you're not going to get in a slump sometime. Nobody's going to be unicorn and rainbows all the time. But you can be most of the time. And sometimes that annoys people. Sometimes people want you to say, hey, like, you can't possibly be that happy. Well, yeah, you can. You just have to think differently. But my ex husband used to get upset with me and say, well, just let me be unhappy. Let me be depressed. He would actually get angry that I would find the silver lining in things. So sometimes when you get happy, certain people will kind of disappear or back off out of your life. And you have to really decide that you really want to be happy and do the work and be happy. and be able to know that other people will come into your life that actually vibrate on the same level of happiness and align with you. And your life really does improve. You got to be kind of brave enough to step out of that little box that sometimes we're conditioned to live in.
I've had it more from coworkers that are like, "Can you just let me be pissy? Can you just let me be," and I'm not trying to change their emotion. It was more of, but these are the good things out of it,
Right.
but here's some things that were not all that bad. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't awful all the time.
Right.
And I like to personally dwell on the things that I liked instead of worrying about the things I didn't like, because that just in my head just creates more stuff coming to me that I don't like. And so I want to see the good.
Right. When you focus on lack, you get more lack. When you focus on beauty, you get more beauty, or focus on abundance, in a good way, not like, I really wish I had abundance. That's the wrong way. But yeah, there's what you focus on, you'll get more of for sure.
Right. Do we have that scarcity mindset or do we have the abundant mindset? And it's not just financial. It's
Exactly.
in our love, in our friendship, in our quality of life. Money can be a part of it, but an abundance mindset is having the things in your life that you love
Yeah, bring you
and
joy.
that bring you joy. And if it's money, fine. Some of
Yeah.
us don't need it to be happy. So
Right.
it really is, what is that thing that you want and how do we focus on it? And
Right.
that's mindset.
Yeah. Yes, it
I
is.
have an idea. Why don't we take a break,
Okay.
get a word from our sponsor, and come back and let's talk not just about transforming our mindset, but we started touching on how it transforms us. So let's talk about that when we get back. So we'll be
Okay.
right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LauraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. All right, Shirley, I know that mindset is something that we all get to experiment with and do little bits at a time. But I've seen huge results for me in my life going forward. When
Right.
I let go of that crap that I've been carrying around, like, oh, so what if somebody was mean to me in kindergarten? He's gone. Why am I still giving him power thinking that maybe I'm ugly? Like,
Right.
why does that matter? And so as we let go of some of those things, there's this beautiful transformation going forward. So there's so much, but how do we do that transformation?
Yeah, I believe that we're all energy for one, but we all have a spirit, I believe. And we have source and we can connect to that or we can disconnect. And when we start appreciating and being grateful, it opens up more room for the good things to come in. It's kind of like when you declutter your house. When you're getting everything out of the drawers, you're cleaning your drawers, they're just so nice. Eventually they get filled up again. But if you kept with new stuff, but if you kept all that old stuff in there, all that new stuff couldn't come in because you wouldn't have room for it. So you kind of, in order to keep your life flowing and keep your good things coming in, you do have to declutter yourself, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. It's the stuff we don't need anymore that we
Right,
hold on to. Sure, sentimental things are great, but the
right.
things that don't bring you joy, let it. I know that sounds, you make it sound so simple. Oh, just let it go. But that
Well, like
it
I
is,
said, it is simple. It's just not easy.
but it's the idea of for me, I need to choose what I'm replacing it with before I can just let it go.
Yeah.
So, at one time in my life, I wanted to give up coffee. It's not ever going to happen again. But I couldn't just not drink coffee. So I chose for that 3 months or so that in the morning I would have a glass of orange juice. So I replaced it. So the habit and the process of going in, getting your drink, and chilling for that moment, however you do it,
Right.
that part, I had just a change of beverage. And then if I did it little like that, I was able to go forward. Now, I like the caffeine, so it didn't stick for
Yeah.
very long.
Right. Right. I recently started drinking mud water, which is
Oh,
like mushroom lion's
yeah.
mane, and it's supposed to give you the energy. I still have my afternoon coffee. I just now have 1 cup of coffee instead of 2 because I actually do really like the taste of the mud water with the almond milk and the sweetener, like Truvia. And it's kind of nice in the morning to wake up to that.
I will have to try some. I think I have some, but I haven't opened it up yet.
Yeah, it is it's very delicious. So you really should try it. There's tons of recipes you can look up to make with it as well.
Ooh, recipes, because it's all supposed to be so healthy. So, is it an additive? When you do a recipe, is it something new that you're adding to an existing recipe, or is it a whole new recipe?
I like to add like cacao or sometimes cayenne pepper. I
Mhm.
like spice. So I just try different things but it does have a nice chai base. So it's very delicious. I'd say
Okay.
try it.
Now we're advertising for Mudwater.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's you know what? If it works for us, it's the idea of give it a try.
Right.
Does it work? Because I would never buy Mudwater if I hadn't had a personal person that I felt trusted to say, "It helps."
Right.
Yeah, I look okay, never mind. I look for the flaws in advertisements and go,
Okay.
"Hey, this is wrong. I don't need that."
Yeah, and maybe I need to work on that because I'm always like, "Ooh, that looks interesting. Ooh, let me try that."
So as we start transforming our life, by these little experiments that we get to do, have challenges, how is it helping? If it makes you feel worse, stop. If it makes you
Right.
feel better, add more. And that's life. And so today, maybe we change our mindset when we wake up in the morning instead of like, oh my God, I'm still so tired, to my energy for this day is going to come in abundance. You can be tired right now, but it's going to come and it's going to be here. And
Right.
so you can just focus on what you want it to be, not what it is right at this moment. What other things can we do to help transform just today to be better? And then if I like it, I can do it tomorrow.
I actually wake up and before I start thinking about my day, I really do go through 5 or 6 things that I'm grateful for. You know, I'm awake. I'm healthy. I'm waking up in my own house, not in a hospital. Like there's a whole lot of things that could be bad. And when I start thinking, and I have a dog, so that always helps because the dog comes wagging her tail and she's all, and I'm like, man, I want to start my day like that every day. I want to be wagging and happy to go. But I think if you just kind of really put into perspective, that things could really be worse. Yeah, I've got to get up and maybe I don't love my job that I'm going to. I do, 'cause I'm blessed. But there have been times I've had jobs I was not loving, I had to go to. But like you said, there's always good things. Like there were always people there that I liked or some kind of satisfaction it would bring me to be there or to participate on a larger scale to what the company was providing. So, waking up and thinking before you even start anything is to really think about, okay, I'm awake. It's a good day. It might be cold out, but most of us have beverages, warm beverages, and we get in our car in a warm car. We're not, most of us aren't, if we're not working outside for 8 hours, which I've done too in the past, you could be thankful for that. And, just to practice gratefulness, I like to meditate, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes. I like to just clear my mind. And I like to clear my mind and just see what kind of thoughts come in. And if they're not good thoughts, I'm like, oh, guys, try to reach for better thoughts, and I ask for guidance and I ask for help, to get through the day and to be a vessel for anyone who may need to be happy or may need a message that I can relay to them. I ask to be a vessel. So I guess, there's a lot of different things you can do. Meditation for me, I feel even if you could do 10 or 15 minutes, if you could do that every morning, you're headed in a really good place.
You
I
know,
do love my meditation.
even like somebody I talked to recently was like, her time is while the coffee's dripping. And that drip is kind of calming to
Yeah,
her. And it's like, find it. Like if it's in the shower, if you cannot find another 10 minutes, you're going to be cleansing your body some way or another. Do it
yeah,
then.
right.
Be thankful for your toothbrush. Be thankful for running water. Be thankful for
There's
soap.
so much.
There's just like all these little things, the sense, the ability, but we need to start looking for them or you won't
One
find.
thing I think is very important, and it's not so much when you wake up in the morning, although you can do it when you wake up in the morning. I truly believe in finding a way to be childlike every day. Whether it's laughing, playing, dancing, whatever you enjoyed when you were a kid. I loved to dance when I was a kid. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Music. So I incorporate that into my life. Sometimes I'll dance around my house. If you like to make snowmen when you were a kid, like, go out there and do it. Even if you don't have kids around you, why can't you go out and make a snowman? Why can't you go roller skating? Why can't you do the things? And I do incorporate things like that, even if I don't have kids with me. It's important to be childlike. I'll watch a Disney movie. I just like being childlike is just an amazing thing. If you can find time to do a little bit of it every day, even if you could do it once a week, be childlike, laugh, play. It's important because as adults, we forget how to do that.
One of the things that as a child or as children around me that I honor or I admire is their authentic way of delivering bad information where you
Yeah.
don't feel bad. I mean, I had
Yeah.
a niece go, "Why are you fat?" And it's like,
Right.
you're this 6-year-old child, and it was completely innocent. She had no, why are
No, she
you
didn't. Right.
different than anybody else? But had her dad or somebody else asked me that, I had gone,
Right. Yeah,
"You."
that's true.
Like,
Exactly.
"Is it any of your
That's very
business?"
true. Very true.
And so it's that honest way. How can I do that as an adult?
Well, yeah, I guess that's a little tricky.
But it's something you can think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would my dog do? I
Yeah,
tell him no and I get mad at him, but 5 minutes later, he's okay with me.
right.
He's not growling or being mean. And so it's what would a
You just
child
don't
do?
wanna go and lick anyone's face. Don't be doing that.
Mm, yes, they'll probably slap me.
Yeah.
It's that same thing, it's like,
Right.
if what would a child do? And
Right.
I'm not talking about a teenager. I'm
No,
talking about
right,
an
yeah, a
innocent
child, yes.
child that's still in that,
Has that
"I'm not
innocence.
afraid of the world.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
curious. I
It's
just
a
wanna know."
beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing if you could tap into that as an adult, because we become way too serious, we become way too angry, way too involved mentally in things that we can do nothing about, and that's a dangerous place to be. If you can't do anything about it, do what you can, sign petitions, do whatever you can do, but if there's a situation you can do nothing about, we were just at the airport the other day and my daughter's luggage didn't come in. And we were there for a wedding that my daughter and my son-in-law were going to. And there were other people that they knew there. And everybody got their luggage and my daughter's didn't come. And I'm like, well, they probably lost your luggage. It's happened to me before. And she's like, all right, so what's the next step? And she's still playing with the kids and talking to the kid. And this lady said, how can you guys be so calm? I would be like, all my things are in there. Like my daughter's like, yeah, I've got some pretty expensive jewelry and stuff in there, but I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. So all I can do is take the next steps and hope it works out. And she's like, I could never do that. I said, yeah, you can. You just have to learn how to do that. But I've kind of taught my kids as they were growing up, if they can't do anything about it, getting upset about it only makes it worse. It doesn't help the
For
situation at
you
all.
and the people you interact and the
Yeah.
people around you.
Yes, yes, and not that I'm not sometimes guilty of that, like I said, I'm human, but I do have the tools and the resources to, like, pull myself back and say, "Oh, wait a minute, let's reel this in, let's look at this in a different way."
I don't remember where I heard this, but there was a school teacher or is a school teacher that says you cannot tell somebody to fix something if they can't do it within 2 minutes. So you couldn't say you are dirty and stinky because you couldn't just fix that right now. But you could say you have a piece of toilet paper on your head. It was like, they're here. Don't make them self-conscious all day. What is it that they can actually fix? And if they can't, don't say anything. That's a different conversation. You would have it at a different time or at a more appropriate.
Okay.
So can you fix it in 2 minutes?
I mean, there are some things you could probably change in 2 minutes. You definitely can change your mood in 2 minutes. You can change your nervous system in 2 minutes. You start taking some deep breaths and start calming yourself. I did an exercise in Sedona at a retreat where they did us a 1-minute guided meditation. And we were so relaxed. And she's like, see what 1 minute can do? Take the time to take care of yourself. Take the time to go inward.
Mhm.
So, yeah, sometimes 2 minutes is a long time, especially if you're in a line waiting for something, but yeah, you can
It is long enough.
Yeah,
It is long enough to do what
yeah,
you need it to do. And we say take 5 minutes, meditate 15 minutes. You know what? Meditate what you have the attention span
right,
to do today. Maybe tomorrow it will change. There are days where I can't. My head is so full that meditation is exactly what it needs. But
right,
every time you attempt it, it's like, not today. It's not happening.
right.
But we get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, for me, I've been doing meditation since I was 29, so that's a long time, but I can honestly say that I can turn it off
That is
like
awesome.
that, and I love that. My biggest problem is, okay, I have 10 or 15 minutes, but when I get in there, I don't wanna come out. So I end up in there for 30, 40 minutes, and then now I'm way behind. So my fear of going in it is opposite of that, not that I can't do 15 minutes. I fear I'm gonna be in it way too long because I just don't wanna come back when I'm in that serene place. I just love it so much.
And it's easy just to ignore all those little timers you have when you're in that
Yeah,
Zen
I don't
moment.
set timers. I don't even set an alarm. I don't like that. So
I'm not done processing yet.
yeah. Yeah. So I have to really make sure I've got some time when I'm meditating, but I try to do it early in the morning, first thing, so that I know I've got time.
You've got time because
Yeah.
you made it. You
That's right,
created
yes.
the space where it works for you.
You're right, yeah,
And,
absolutely.
I think when we create that space is when we're able to do the things we had. Yes, we have to change them. Yes, sometimes we get interrupted. I was like, "Oh, I gotta run, my mom's at the hospital."
Right,
Those are situations, and it's okay to reschedule your meditation, but when you make the
right,
space, you're going to hit it more often than not.
right. Absolutely. You are absolutely correct.
So we're gonna make space. We're gonna declutter our brains.
Yes,
All these fun
yes,
things. We're gonna think like a child.
absolutely.
So, Shirley, as we get to the end of this episode, I would love for you to share what you do, how our friend can get a hold of you, and give us that one thing. I know we've talked about a lot, but what should we all kind of, when you get everybody working on the same thing, the power is so much stronger.
True.
1 plus 1 is not 2, it's 4. So, They're like, what can we work on this week to help us learn to transform our mindset and life?
Well, okay, so my name is Shirley Buck. I am an author. I had written a book and it's called Sweet Freedom Whispered in My Ear. And it's a memoir of my life and how I used mindset transformation to overcome the things I went through. But I will say that there's a lot of trauma and abuse. So if you are you triggered by that? Like if you are, you might want to pass on the book because it's a heavy read. But it does have some good tips. But I'm also a mindset transformation coach. I have a 3-month course where you have weekly lessons with daily activities and then a weekly session with me. I also am a Reiki master. I don't like to use the word master, but it's the title we have. Master kind of implies that we've learned everything we can about it, but I don't believe that that's ever true about anything. And I'm also a licensed massage therapist. So I do quite a few things. You can reach me by my name, shirleybuck.com, and you can schedule a free 45-minute Zoom call as a consultation call if you are interested. I would say the one thing that's most important, in my opinion, to work on is self-love. Because we're all kind of conditioned again, like that word conditioned to be people pleasers, to put everybody first and us last. And you can't give from an empty cup. You have to learn to love yourself and do for yourself. And I think an easy way to start that, maybe not easy, but a way to start that is you have people you love in your life, a daughter, a son, whatever, and you want to tell them, look, you're just getting walked on all the time. You're giving way too much. You want them to love themselves enough to not do that. So why can't you bring that inward to yourself and not just want it for other people? Because now you're becoming an example to be that person. And you have so much more to give when you take care of yourself and you love yourself first. So I think that's the most important thing to work on is self-love. And what I do for a living, I find that usually is the biggest challenge for people.
So next time we have that thought, oh my God, I screwed up again, we can change it to, I just learned one more way it doesn't work. And
A little compassion for ourselves.
How can we quit using all that? Oh, I didn't get this thing done and I didn't do this and I did. Let's look at what we did do. Because it is always amazing. Someone that I interviewed, they have a thing in their coaching practice that's called the to-done list. And as you finish things off, you write it down. Because sometimes, yes, I kissed my husband or my spouse. Yes, I walked the dog. Yes, I look at all the to-done things you do.
Yeah.
Instead of all that I didn't do.
Exactly.
Reward yourself.
That is a great, great way to do things, to look at it for sure.
Well, at least to see that it wasn't a waste of a day.
Right.
I lived, I breathed, I had joy, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to work on self-love and figure out how to be kinder to ourselves. Look how your best friend treats you. Now, do that with your brain. Let your brain treat you that way. Self-love isn't just going and getting my hair done. It's also loving the way I look, even when it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shirley, thank you so much for joining us. The information about Shirley is in the show notes, so you can jump down there and contact her. Shirley and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. This is not medical advice. This is fun advice. This is entertainment. Try it. See how you feel. Enjoy life every moment of the day.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss a next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.